So it's the latest diet craze, a gluten-free diet. Don't know what it is? Don't worry, you're not alone. Jimmy Kimmel on his late night show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, wondered about it too.
People are very anti-gluten, which bothers me because I'm very pro-pizza, and you can't be pro-pizza and anti-gluten. So now some people can't eat gluten for medical reasons, which that I get. It annoys me, but I get it. But a lot of people here don't eat gluten because, like, someone in their yoga class told them not to. I keep asking people about this, and I started to wonder how many of these people even know what gluten is.
And what is gluten?
Well, as far as for me, how it affects my body,
But what is gluten?
oh, this is pretty sad because I don't know.
What is gluten?
Does Jewish John Hamm know what gluten is?
It is part, I believe, of the wheat that I really don't know.
That's hilarious. The gluten-free dieters don't even know what gluten is. But do you? We're going to find out, because on a serious note, what it is makes a difference in how you eat and your health. We're going to go back to our South Florida studios where our deputy health editor Nick Tate is standing by with information for those of us who are saying, what the heck is gluten? Can you help us out, Nick?
I sure can. You know, 10, 15 years ago, none of us had ever even heard of gluten, and there's obviously, as Jimmy Kimmel shows us, a great deal of confusion about it today. But glutens are proteins that are in wheat products, and they do cause a problem for people with a particular condition called celiac disease. But what's interesting is that gluten-free foods are fueling a multi-billion-dollar industry in this country, and as many as 1 in 3 restaurant goers in places like New York and Los Angeles are asking for gluten-free products on the menu, gluten-free menu items. Facebook has about 1,000 groups with the phrase gluten-free is in it, and there's even a gluten-free singles group. So it's really a craze that's taken off. Now, until recently, doctors mostly recommended folks go gluten-free if they have a medical condition called celiac disease, which means that they cannot process gluten. It causes an autoimmune system. It causes problems for their intestines. But a growing number of nutritionists and some doctors are now saying that that view is changing, and in fact, going gluten-free can benefit even people who do not have celiac disease. It lowers inflammation, it contributes to weight loss, and there are some other benefits too.
It seems like we've been hearing a lot about inflammation throughout this entire show. So we're going to get some more information now from our guest in the studio, Dr. Robert Newman. He's a certified clinical nutritionist and a wellness expert. It's good to have you with us.
Nice to be here, Lynn.
So you heard Nick comment on celiac disease. Let's talk about that first up and describe what it is and how many people it affects.
Okay, so as Nick mentioned, it's really gluten is the protein of the wheat, barley, rye, spelt, kamut, all these different grains. They're even finding it in some oatmeals. So essentially what happens is the individual will have an autoimmune reaction to this, and in celiac disease, the villi, which are really the lining of the small intestine, your body's attacking it and it sloughs off. Now the villi are so critical for really absorption of nutrients.
Is this almost like having a food allergy?
I'd say allergy to a disease process. You know, your body starts upregulating the immune system, and you start not only fighting the gluten protein, but also it will end up fighting itself in many ways.
So people who suffer
diseases
from celiac disease and who really truly need to be gluten-free do it, because if not, they could die.
You know,
they
what
could be
happens
severely
is,
ill.
you typically will find malnutrition. You'll be deficient in iron. You'll be deficient in various nutrients. There'll be gross weight loss. You know, severe, sometimes even psychiatric disorders. It really just affects far-reaching aspects of the body.
And yet you mentioned the weight loss. That's probably what attracted the attention of dieters, particularly the fad dieters. They see someone who's on a gluten-free diet lose weight and they say, hey, that's for me.
Right.
Is that a smart decision?
Really what we're talking about is a spectrum, because there's a spectrum from celiac disease to the disease process to just a sensitivity to gluten. Now you can have a whole myriad of symptoms that will be necessary to go gluten-free.
Without talking about the specific symptoms, what impact would it have on someone who does not have them to engage in a gluten-free diet?
I'm not sure there's any real benefit if there's no sensitivity and there's no effect on the immune response, other than the high caloric intake and also the blood sugar response, which would raise insulin resistance, hence diabetes and other ailments.
Okay, so if you do follow a gluten-free diet and you don't have a medical reason to do it, you could actually have side effects as a result of it?
There are so many foods that you can eat instead of gluten-free foods, such as some ancient grains like amaranth, teff, quinoa, all the different rice.
You heard Jimmy talk about pizza. Can you eat pizza if you're on a gluten-free
there's
diet?
gluten-free pizza, sure, made out of corn foods.
And does it taste the same?
It actually tastes decent.
It does.
Yeah, if you get a very thin crust.
Okay, so do you think that most people should try to follow it and incorporate somehow into their diets?
I really think you need to
follow
go
their
to your physician to
physician
get
advice?
diagnosed. If you're having that whole myriad of symptoms and you just can't solve it, and all of a sudden you go gluten-free for, let's say, 2 weeks, and you feel so much better, that's a great response. And then what we do is blood tests.
Okay, good advice. Good to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. He's going to stick around here and answer some of your email questions. And also we'll have Dr. Peter Hybert with us as well. So please stay with us as Meet the Doctors continues. We're also going to talk about the latest in 3D breast mammography. So that's something that you want to stay with us for as well. We'll be right back.